Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Sejanus' fall, and we get to hear from Sejanus today to finish off Act 5, Scene 1. Now, this scene started off with Sejanus like at the highest of highs, thinking that if he sets his sights merely on being emperor, that's setting his sights way too low because he's so awesome. Maybe he should become a god. At this point, he has so much power, he has so much clout, all of his plans are falling into place, he's feeling really good about himself. He's like, I basically should be a god because this has been way too easy to become emperor. But then Terentius comes in and says, there's black smoke spewing out of your statue that's in Pompey's theater. So Sejanus is like, well, go figure out why. And Terentius leaves, but comes back a second later with Satrius and Nada, who saw them. They already took the head off of the statue so they could look into it and see what was burning inside. And when they did, this massive, monstrous serpent came out. And they're like, well, maybe this is a sign, like some kind of omen. Maybe you should be paying attention. And so Janus is like, oh, you sillies, like thinking that things are omens. Like the fact that my bed broke this morning and the fact that a cat walked between my legs, like all these things must be omens, like harbingers of doom. And Terentius is like, well, maybe they are, because also a whole bunch of your slaves died, and also the last time that you were like doing your augury, the only bird that showed up was a crow that just sat and like pecked the air all night. So he's like, maybe these are signs of bad things to come, and maybe you should just, I don't know, do one more sacrifice to the gods to protect yourself and make them change their minds, to get back in good favor with the gods. So Sejanus says, what excellent fools religion makes of men. Believes Terentius, if these were dangers, as I shame to think them, the gods could change the certain course of fate? Or if they could, they would, now in a moment, for a beeve's fat, or less, be bribed to invert those long decrees? Then think the gods, like flies, are to be taken with the steam of flesh or blood diffused about their altars. Think their power as cheap as I esteem it small. Of all the throng that fill the Olympian hall, and without pity laid poor Atlas back, I know not that one deity, but Fortune, to whom I would throw up in begging smoke 1 grain of incense, or whose ear I'd buy with thus much oil. Her I indeed adore, and keep her grateful image in my house, sometime belonging to a Roman king, but now called mine, as by the better style. To her I care not if, for satisfying your scrupulous fancies, I go offer. Bid our priest prepare us honey, milk, and poppy, his masculine odors and night vestments. Say our rites are instant, which, performed, you'll see how vain and worthy laughter your fears be. And that's the end of the scene. So this is Sejanus at like peak levels of condescension. He starts off with like, oh my goodness, you oh poor honey, oh darlings, you are so religious, and it just baffles my mind. He's like, we learn in this that Sejanus is a bit of a fatalist because he insinuates that fate is set and the gods aren't going to change fate simply because you sacrifice a cow to them. He's like, are gods so easily swayed like flies are by like some burning flesh and blood on an altar? He's like, that's ridiculous. That's so stupid. He's like, out of all of the gods that we worship, there's only one that I would offer a grain of incense or a drop of oil to, and that's the goddess Fortune. He's like, I like her. I have a little statue to her in my house, which he also then slides in. He lives where a Roman king used to live, but he improved it. Like it was a fixer-upper, and he's made it better. So he's like, you know what? If it's gonna make all y'all feel better, we can do a sacrifice to fortune. So go get the honey, the milk, the priest, the poppy, the night vestments, all that sort of stuff. Tell the priest that like this is very important, we have to do it. And once we've done it, you're all gonna see what a bunch of idiots you are, because it's not gonna change anything. And that's the end of the scene. So lovely guy, that Sejanus. Maybe a little bit interesting that he does ultimately take Terentius' suggestion to make one more sacrifice, to offer one more thing to the gods, but he does it in like the most condescending way, while like, oh honey-ing them the whole time. So lovely and fun. And that's the end of Act 5, Scene 1. So come on back tomorrow and we'll see what happens after the sacrifice. I'll see you then. Mwah.